Okay, so let's get right into it. Think about your credit report. It's basically your financial story. It has a huge say in the car you can get, the house you might buy, maybe even the job you land. But what happens when that story is just wrong? When there's fiction mixed in with the facts? Well, that's what we're diving into today. How to find those mistakes and become the editor of your own financial story.
So let's start with a number that should honestly make you pause. According to some studies, an unbelievable 79% of credit reports have errors on them. I mean, think about that. That is nearly 4 out of every 5 reports. And we're not just talking about little typos. These are the kinds of mistakes that can cost you real money, real opportunities, and a whole lot of peace of mind.
If you've ever felt this, you are definitely not alone. This quote just nails the frustration so many people feel, right? It can really seem like this impossible, uphill battle. But look, the good news is you have the right and, just as importantly, the tools to fight back. And this explainer, this is your battle plan.
We're going to break it all down with a really clear roadmap. First, we'll cover what a credit report even is. Then, we'll turn you into a financial detective so you can spot the errors. After that, we'll walk through exactly how to file a dispute, see what happens behind the scenes, and then talk about what to do with the results. And finally, we'll zoom out and look at the bigger picture of who's actually disputing these errors.
First up, your financial report card. So what is this thing, really? Because let's be honest, it's not just some random document. It's one of the most powerful pieces of data about you in the entire modern economy.
So, at its core, a credit report is a super detailed record of your life as a borrower. But here's the kicker, the part a lot of people don't realize. This story isn't put together by the government. Nope, it's compiled by 3 major for-profit companies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Their business is your data, and their accuracy, or their lack of accuracy, has a massive impact on your life.
All right, so now for the fun part. It's time to put on your detective hat. This is our mission, to hunt down the mistakes in your own financial files.
Your first step as a detective is to get the evidence, and the law says you are entitled to a free report from each of those 3 bureaus every single year. The place to go is annualcreditreport.com. And here is a really key thing to remember. Checking your own report is what's called a soft inquiry. It does not, I'm going to repeat this, it does not hurt your credit score. So honestly, check it as often as you need to.
Okay, once you've got your reports, start with the easy stuff, your personal info. A misspelled name or an old address might seem minor, but trust me, these errors can lead you getting mixed up with someone else's file. An incorrect social security number digit? That can cause huge problems. And if you see an address or an employer you'd never even heard of, that's a massive red flag for identity theft, and you need to act on it immediately.
Next up is the big one, your account history. This is where a tiny error can do massive damage to your score. A single payment you made on time that's marked late can send your score tumbling. A closed account that's still showing up as open could be messing with your debt-to-income ratio. You have to scrutinize every single line. Look for duplicate accounts, wrong balances, anything that doesn't look right. Because even one mistake here can cost you.
And finally, you want to scan your inquiries and public records. A hard inquiry just means someone pulled your credit to make a lending decision. If you don't recognize one, that could be a sign of fraud. And pay close attention to the public records section. Fun fact, a few years ago, things like tax liens and civil judgments were removed from credit reports. So now only bankruptcy should be there. Make sure any old ones are gone on schedule. That's 7 years for a Chapter 13 and 10 for a Chapter 7. If they're still hanging around after that, they have to go.
Okay, so you've found the mistakes. Now what? Let's get to the solution. This is your toolkit for taking action and getting your report corrected. Honestly, filing a dispute is probably more straightforward than you think. First move, create an account with whichever bureau is showing the error. Then you're going to pinpoint the exact piece of information you're disputing. Next, gather your proof, like a bank statement that shows your payment was on time. Finally, you submit everything and then just track its progress right there online.
Now you've got 3 main ways to file. Doing it online is almost always going to be your fastest bet. Sending it by mail is slower, but, and this is important, sending it via certified mail gives you a physical paper trail.
That receipt is your proof. It's excellent for your own records. The phone is also an option, but it's way harder to document the conversation, so it's generally the least recommended way to go.
So, you've sent your dispute. Now what? Well, now comes the waiting period. So let's pull back the curtain and see what actually happens during this investigation.
The Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FCRA, sets a really strict timeline. This isn't just a suggestion, it's the law. The credit bureau generally has 30 days to investigate your claim. They have to tell the company that provided the info, that's the furnisher, within 5 days. That company then does its own investigation and reports back. Now, that deadline can get extended to 45 days, but only if you provide extra info during the process.
The 30 days are up, you've gotten the results, so let's look at the possible outcomes and, most importantly, what to do if you don't like the answer you get. The outcome is pretty much one of two things. If the investigation finds the information was, in fact, inaccurate, the Bureau has to correct it or delete it. Simple as that. You'll even get a free copy of your updated report. But if the furnisher verifies that the information is accurate, the item will stay on your report. But don't worry, it's not over yet.
If the bureau sides with the lender but you know you're right, you have more moves to make. The fight isn't over. You can go straight to the source and contact the lender directly. You can resubmit the dispute, but this time arm yourself with new evidence. You can even add a 100-word statement to your file so that anyone who pulls your credit sees your side of the story. And, as a final step, you can file a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, the federal government's consumer watchdog. The big takeaway here is this: you have rights. Don't give up.
All right, now let's zoom out a bit. Who is actually going through this whole dispute process? The data from our sources paints a fascinating and, frankly, a really important picture.
Looking at this data from the CFPB, a couple of trends just jump right out. First, check out the age graphs on the left. See those orange bars? Those are the disputers, and they're consistently higher in the younger age groups. Second, look at the credit score graphs on the right. Disputers are way more likely to be in the subprime or deep subprime categories. Now, this might be because people with lower scores are more likely to get denied for credit, which then triggers a notice telling them they have a right to see the report that caused it. The data also shows some pretty significant demographic disparities. Dispute flags are much more common for people living in majority Black and Hispanic neighborhoods compared to majority white neighborhoods. And get this, for auto loans, the rate in majority Black areas was more than 3 times higher. It just highlights how critical it is for everyone to advocate for their own financial health.
So, we end with this question. Your financial story is being written constantly by companies you've probably never even met. But you don't have to just be a passive reader. You have the power to pick up the red pen, to correct the errors, and to make sure the story being told about you is the absolute truth. The only question left is, will you?